Call meeting to order. We'll start off with the minutes. Are there any corrections to the minutes? Seeing none, the minutes are approved. All right, we have a nice agenda today. A couple of informational updates and a couple of votes. So with that, we'll start right off with Visit Syracuse. All right. Danny has to catch a plane, so we got him first.
Well, it's funny you say that. I'm supposed to go into Newark, and we all know what's going on there.
Oh.
So I'm not going in there. So eventually we'll get there.
Yeah.
So certainly not a rush. Well, thank you for having me in today. I believe I did leave behind our annual report. You should have received that in your box. But I think it's good to bring it to life in person and just show you what your investment is for Visit Syracuse and what the return is from your standpoint. I understand your roles very well, having served in that spot, so sales tax is a big deal. And we're going to show you how we get that ROI that you need to help you when your budget time comes. So one thing right out of the gate here, so this little wheel slide that we put up here, we used to be known as the Convention and Visitors Bureau. We've definitely transformed into more than that, and I believe our work has changed along with it. For a long time, it was simply heads in beds, and that was the focus. Based on the makeup of our team, I started back in 2017. We really took a look at the way we were structured from our employees, and we just felt we have so much more to offer, and now I feel like we're an extension of the county. We've been involved in many projects as far as painting a picture of why this is a great place to live, work, and play. So basically, this is the wheel that we live by, this wheel at my office with my team. So that the first thing is if you build a place where people want to visit, you're going to have a place where they want to live. Second, and if you built a place where people want to live, you've built a place where people want to work. If you built a place where people want to work, you built a place where businesses and residents will invest. And if you built a place where businesses and residents will invest, then you've built a place where people will want to visit. So it's that wheel that kind of spins, and they're all connected. So that's kind of the work that we do, and this is the model that we live by, and that's a community vitality wheel. And you'll see some of the circles that are color coded there. It's about the brand management. It's about stewardship, and certainly promotions and sales of the area. We can go on to the next slide. So visitor spending, this is right in your wheelhouse. So give you perspective. I try to not say the C word anymore. That's hopefully that's in the rearview mirror for all of us. But we will look back. I think a good benchmark is probably 2018 was a really good year for this county for visitor spending. That was when the Bowling Congress was here. That was about a $75 million economic impact. That year, visitor spending was somewhere around $725 million. A lot of money. But we trailed all of our throughway competitors, Buffalo, Rochester, Albany. We were dead last. Dead last doesn't really sit well with me. I'm pretty competitive. And we really mapped out how we're going to change that. And now I'm proud to say now we've had steady growth. 2024 will go down as a record year, as did 23. The visitor spending will exceed 1.3 billion with a B. So we've seen it almost double over that time frame. What does that mean to you? That's about $65 million in sales tax. So it's significant. It's 1 in 11 jobs in this county is tourism related. So we play a big role in that. We're proud of it. The team's proud of the results. If you measure us against our competitors over that time frame that I alluded to before, we have the largest rate of growth amongst any of those cities. The only city that's beating us on rate of growth is New York City, and obviously that's a pretty big cat to take on. We can go on to the next slide, and that's a little bit of a highlight. So that's just some interesting stats from 2022. We've seen that grow about 7%, $143,000 spent every hour in this county on visitor spending. We can go on to the next slide. So our sales. Now, you've probably seen me enough on the news talking about hotel rooms. We're kind of in that, we're headed for that perfect storm, right? We've had some hotels go offline to accommodate housing, whether it's student housing or other types of housing. got the 81 project underway. We're kind of in flux. I was very concerned about a year ago, and the reason being the on-center county facility. We have a role in making sure that facility is successful. And when you have a large convention, typically, the naked eye wouldn't understand this, but if you dig into it, say we had a convention of, say, 600 people, and half of those people were from out of town. That's not a huge convention, but it's a moderate size convention. We would need the Sheraton, we would need the Marriott, we would need the Crown Plaza, which is a circular hotel, we would need the Genesee Grand. Otherwise, we're not in the game. So when you take half of that inventory away, now your competitors, they will try to use the walkability against you. Like Rochester, you could walk across the street, or Connected, where you don't have to go outside. Syracuse, you may get a few rooms from the Marriott. They certainly participate as the official convention center hotel, but what happens is the market is compressed. So the rates go through the roof because the demand is up, rates are up. What they're willing to give us to take these conventions is less and less, because off the street they can get $300 a night, where conventions are probably somewhere around $150. If you're an owner, you've got to make that choice. So now it comes down to we either lose the business, or we find a way to make it palatable for these guests. And fortunately, we've been able to transport them around the county to some of the suburban hotels who have been really good teammates to help us keep this business. So I thought this would be the year where I would walk in here and say, you know what, we're flat, or we're going to go downhill until we get some hotels. What this slide is telling you, you see the hotel rooms has decreased. What my organization has brought to the table from convention rooms has actually increased. It's a remarkable trend, and what it is we took a look at what was coming, and we went after different types of business. Certainly sports business is big, especially youth sports. We focused a lot there. Smaller groups, different types of groups. Certainly technology is big now. So I'm proud to say that we've shattered all of our expectations. Our sales numbers have doubled in 7 years. So we can go on to the next slide. I don't want to bore you with a ton of statistics. So these are some of the trade shows that we travel around to. We have a very veteran team. We participate with I Love New York. We've been into Ireland. We've been into London to try to get some international business here. And these are just many of the conventions that we participate in. We do about 25 in-person conventions each year. We can go on to the next slide. Our film office, but before I get into film, I would be remiss if I didn't bring up a concern. An obstacle this year is certainly Canada. Canada is about 10 to 15% of the tourism spend in this county. And what does that mean? That's about $120 million in spend. We've seen our web traffic from Canadian visitors drop 50%. It's very concerning. We don't have numbers as of yet because the peak season is just about taking hold. It should be here right now, but I feel like we're in March still with this weather. But May, June, July, August, September, those are peak months for Canadian travelers. Our marketing efforts up there have not been well received. We've had to pull back on them. Just all the rhetoric back and forth. I don't need to get into the news. Everybody understands what's going on there. But it's definitely compromised that business. So we will not sit idle and just take it as a loss. What we do is we double down in other markets that are very hot. So the money that we spend in Canada, New York City, for example, New York City's become our #1 market, where 7 years ago they weren't in the top 10. What do we have here? Affordability, accessibility, the great outdoors, great food, great music, Broadway shows, and we market the heck out of that. Philadelphia is now #2. Philadelphia wasn't in the top 8. So we take that money from Canada and we try to make up for it other ways with spend. Fortunately, the hotels so far are still going upward in occupancy, so we haven't seen that dip yet. But I would like to put it on your radar in the event that we get to the end of the year and we see a little bit of shortage in sales tax. Canada could be part of that reason. Film is something that really we're very proud of what we do with film, and we've helped with some bringing some private investment with Studio Central, which is the old Red House there over on Fayette Street. Massive private investment there. The filming of the movies here is very sexy and it gets a lot of attention, and it certainly brings in a good amount of revenue. But what's really more impressive is this new facility on Fayette Street, which they do post-production there, a lot of post-production, color correction, and audio. Now, what that means is they can shoot a movie in a week. post-production takes 4 to 6 months. So we'll have 4 to 6 people here spending money in our hotels, staying in restaurants, doing the post-production here. New York City was always the top destination for that, but right now there's some equipment there that is the only piece of equipment between here and London that we have here in Syracuse, and we're starting to get more of that business. They found a lot of local workforce talent, so there's certainly a lot of local jobs there. You're going to hear a lot more about this this facility in the coming months, but they're really doing a fantastic job. So film, we did about $30 million in film production last year. Just if we flash back to when this was under the county, I think the high water mark in a year was about $6 million. The last few years we've been over 30 each year. So since this was handed over to Visit Syracuse for marketing and logistics, we have Eric Vinal on my team who is very, very good at what he does. We're just killing it, and I think the sky's the limit when it comes to film, especially now that the governor's budget announced that the film tax credit will be good through 2036. There was a lot of hesitation. People just were sitting idle until that incentive came to fruition. So now all of a sudden it's like someone flipped the switch and the interest is going through the roof in Syracuse. So that's my my spiel on film. We can go on to the next slide. That's just some coverage that we've been, as far as in the media is concerned. We really were idle for a little bit as far as bringing in influencers and travel journalists, but now we're back in that game, and we've been getting coverage from a lot of major publications. We can flip to the next slide. But I do want to go back to the eclipse because this I know this was 2024, but as we recap the year, we would be foolish not to bring up the eclipse. What's really great about this, Syracuse was on the path of totality. Granted, we were on the eastern portion of that, which Buffalo and Rochester should have had more view time than Syracuse did. But we took a look. For once, the weather was on our side, and we're known for weather here, but usually it's against us. We monitored the weather forecast for 2 weeks, and we saw that Syracuse's view time would be greater than Rochester and Buffalo, so we did some special marketing efforts to try to get those people to change their reservations from those markets and come into Syracuse. The result was, according to Bloomberg, Syracuse, New York had the highest economic impact from the eclipse on the path of totality all the way from Texas to New York. So my team did a phenomenal job getting those people here in a short amount of time. So hotels were packed for 2 nights. It was really a dramatic impact on our local economy. We can go to the next slide, please. These are just some of the partnerships that we have with some local organizations, whether it's some of the agritourism, certainly the Jazz Fest and the music festivals, Rhythm and Blues. Those are some of the bigger events that we partner with, but there's probably any ethnic or any type of festival that's downtown. We have outreach to them, and what we do is we share best practices with them. We also get content from them to help push out their events on all our social media channels to help impact their attendance positively and drive that spend while they're at these events. We can go on to the next slide. And these are a few more to go with it. So Syracuse National is obviously a big one. Syracuse University is a big partner, the athletic department. We do a lot of great things with them. We try to take advantage of some of the student athletes and have them help promote some of our smaller local businesses. There's Eddie Lampkin at the Sweet Praxis, but he's been out in all the suburbs at some of the restaurants, and we've done a lot of great stuff on social media. You ask why Syracuse Athletics? That brand is well known across the world. There's people coming here for sports. I'll give you an example of Fran Brown's first year. Fran Brown, as everybody knows, had a phenomenal year. What did that mean for the local economy? The economic impact of football grew about $43 million from the previous year, just on a winning season. So they're a natural partner, and we try to. The goal is, think of it if you're a fan and say you're in Clemson and you really don't know much about Syracuse and Onondaga County, and you want to come up for the basketball game. Your mindset is, I better get in and I better get out before I get snowed in, right? Because the perception is we're in Siberia. So we try to market to them to show them what there is to do outside of the game. And if we get 5% of those people to extend their stay by 1 day, that's millions of dollars in the local economy. So that's the mission from the Syracuse athletic side, is to get people to get off campus, do something outside of the game, and we try to increase their spend while they're here. We can go on to the next slide. So our numbers, I'm going to geek out a little bit. I'm not really, I should have brought Liz with me because she's the social media person, but when you look, and these are all comparisons against, these are against industry standards. So when we look at 2024, our Instagram views increased 112%. That's staggering. I can't emphasize that enough. Our competitors would be lucky to have an increase of 20%. We're at 112%. Our followers are up. Our engagement across all of our social media platforms, off the roof. We're really proud of the number of impressions, 4.7 million impressions. It's a 113% increase. Why is that? We took a big shift back in 2018. I used to work for Marriott and Ritz-Carlton, and I am not an educated man, but I got a hell of an education from that company. And it was all about, you remember the days when you'd look at an ad and it was an actor in a bathrobe at the pool, everything was staged. They transformed real people doing real things. It's more believable. The TripAdvisor. I mean, how many people travel? Do you go to TripAdvisor or you go to Yelp? Those are believable. So I said, hey, we've got to bring in the video component. We've got to shoot real people doing real things. We've got to create that emotional attachment. We've got to give them great content, why this is a great place to visit, why it's good for everyone to come here, it's a welcoming community, what we have to do to get that message out there. And that's why these numbers are off the chart. The content on our website and our social media platforms is first rate, and that's all the people on my team. They are incredible people and very creative and very gifted. We can go on to the next slide. So this is where your investment comes in. A few years ago, I came to you and said my website is outdated. I need a special allocation. I need $100,000. And the legislature came through. Thank you. 2 years, we're up something like 250% on our website. 1.8 million page views in 24. We're already at, for 25, I think we're already at 1.3 million page views. So we're probably going to do closer to 2.8 million views this year. So the time on our site is a minute. The industry standard is about 20 seconds. So we've got them for 40 seconds longer than our competitors. It's these numbers, they're almost not believable. They're so good. And we're very, very proud of that. We can go on to the next slide. And these are just some of the marketing campaigns that we've done. We've definitely put up an investment in our local small businesses. You'll see on YouTube channel, you'll see a lot of small local businesses that we go in and we tell their story. We blast it out. We get people interested. And a lot of digital marketing campaigns. We partner with a lot of local agencies, whether it's Advanced Media or ABC Creative, but the majority of the stuff is created in-house, and we just take advantage. It's a very sophisticated industry right now, getting your message out on the right platforms and having people that are seasoned in purchasing those ads. It's complicated, so we do partner with a few agencies doing that. We do have a tour app that we received a pretty large state grant that's going to sunset in September, where people can go on this tour app and look at Syracuse things, and it's a narrated tour right on your phone through the app. It's really, really cool. You can go on to the next slide. These are some events that are coming up this year. You're going to see Onondaga Lake come alive again with some vintage race boats in June. And that's something that's a Visit Syracuse event that we created to try to draw people to your beautiful park that you all support. And we're pretty excited about that. We can go to the next slide. Another thing we did this year, we've been very humble. We felt strongly we needed to get out in the community and support a lot of agencies that help less fortunate, or certainly folks that are compromised from a health standpoint. So we did host a pretty nice wellness event in conjunction with SUNY Upstate, and you're going to see us much more involved in the local community at a lot of charity events, trying to help the less fortunate and help obviously promote their events, get more people to their events so they can achieve their mission. We'll go on the next slide. And then last but not least, all these results are based on my employees. I believe big time in investing and training in my employees. When I came in, the T word never came up. I'm all about investing in my people. I ask them for a 5-year vision of where they want to go, and I help them get there. I hope it's still with me, but if it's not, if it's on the bigger and better, that's great too. So we do invest. These are all the trainings that we go to each year. Everybody has, I make them commit to 3 things, personal development things a year. One of them needs to be out of Syracuse. They need to get out, meet people in other industries, similar industries, what have you. It helps build their skill set, and it helps us achieve these results that continue to escalate, but they won't escalate without continuing education, and that's what we invest in. Is that next slide? Let's see. This is those are just some interesting visitor profiles. I don't really need to read through those. I'd like to answer some questions for you folks. Anything after this slide? Nope, we're good. So we can. That was from a deck from a different show. So disregard that. We gave out some awards for hospitality industry locally. I guess that's my short pitch. More importantly, I'm here to answer questions and give you any insights that you might have. But when I look at ROI again, about a little over $3 million is what we get from bed tax through this great entity, and when you're getting over $60 million in return in sales tax, that's not a bad ratio. Questions? Comments?
All right, thank you.
That was it? No questions?
No. Where do I start? Troy?
Well, I think the 143 days of the lot at Apple Festival.
A huge gap in your presentation. The premier event of the year, and wasn't one place, held every year, Columbus Day weekend. So,
well,
something for the future.
I've been tooting your horn for a long time. I've run out of wind, my friend.
Okay.
That was quite a setup.
81.
Yeah.
Obviously, if I was in your position in some of our neighboring communities, obviously I would, try to use that to my advantage. What's how you handling that? What's the plan? Actually, I think the timing with losing some hotel rooms, but we've had some good news about new downtown hotels coming online. Given the time it takes to build and all that, it might be about right. But
you're spot on. You talk about dumb luck. The peak of the disruption down here also is in line with hotels going offline and some new builds. So you're spot on. Hold on. You're spot on. Yes, our competitors absolutely use it to their advantage. Sometimes it comes down to good old-fashioned financial incentives to keep them here, and that's we're prepared to do that. It's in our messaging. Why Syracuse is still a good option. It's not easy. I do anticipate a dip at some point. I thought this was going to be the year, but somehow my team keeps proving me wrong. I think there will be a dip for a short time, but at the end of the day, we're going to have a new downtown. We're going to have new and elevated hotel capacity where now we can go back after the NCAA tournament. We can go back after the bowlers because based on what I've heard in the last week, we're going to have three new, almost 4-star hotels, about 700 rooms in close proximity. That gets us back in the game, and it's certainly our value is going to be enhanced because what's going to happen is right now these hotels, they can put their feet up on the desk and answer the phone and pick and choose what they want to take. But the second that inventory comes back, now it's more competitive. That's where we've got to put more business on the table to help fill in the gaps. So it's a challenge for us, but it's great. But again, the market's going to correct itself. But we're looking at different streams of revenue. We're looking at different things to make up for those potential shortfalls. So it's not traditional large convention business. There's other things out there that we're going after. So I hope I answered your question.
Yep. Now, what's the industry standard or rule or whatever, as far as I know we spend a lot of money on transport, especially when we have to put folks out, Carrier Circle or wherever. With these new hotels downtown, are we still going to have to do that? Obviously, it'll be a short trip, but
I think,
Or is it weather dependent?
some is weather dependent. I mean, walkability is the number one reason we lose a piece of business, is the walkability. You would think that one block walk from the Marriott was 10 miles, but it only takes one bad day to change the perception. So it is an issue, but the one certainly on Fayette and Warren is ideally located. I know the university will be announcing something shortly, but transportation is always going to be a piece of the puzzle here until we're able to get, well, if I had a magic wand, I would say build me a hotel across the street from the On Center. But
Right.
until that day comes, transportation is always going to be a piece of the puzzle. So, we budget for it accordingly. And we have a veteran sales team that understands how to overcome these objections from these people. But until that day comes, transportation is part of the deal.
You built a great team, you really have.
Thank you.
Other questions?
Well, I don't have a question, but I do want to say that I visit, Monty's place, and it is amazing. I just couldn't believe the state of the art, and that we have absolutely everything here to make a movie from soup to nuts, and I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, and if anyone wants to take a tour, I would
think
encourage you.
everyone
I took my board of directors over there yesterday, and they're like, "What are we doing here? What's this building?" And they come out, and I bet every one of them $1 that I'm going to hear, "This is in Syracuse.
Right.
This is world class." One of those phrases is almost like bingo, and I won all the money. I got $10. You'll be blown away. You have to see it.
Yes.
I brought Coach Brown over there. We work with Coach Brown. Again, as I started at the beginning, we're not a traditional, if you compared us to any of our competitors, we are very different. I look at Syracuse football, the success of the athletics up there as sales tax increase. So what can I do to help Coach Brown? Well, I can make videos that, based on his recruit, let's say you have someone from New Orleans. We better show him something in Syracuse that's similar to New Orleans to get him to consider it. So I give him these videos. We make them for him. So where am I going with this? I brought him in to this studio. He does everything there. Now there's an animated Coach Brown that he uses for recruiting that they make there. There's an animation studio there. So what is animation? Animation goes to video games too. So with the STEAM school, they're heavily involved in new STEAM schools. So you're gonna have, Syracuse kids that could learn how to make a video game. They can learn how to make a movie right here. So if I can facilitate a tour, I would really encourage it. I think you'll be proud more than anything.
I think that's a great idea.
It's all
I think
private
people
dollars.
need to know.
Private dollars.
Private dollars, right. It didn't come from anything
Beautiful.
tax money.
It's a
I think
beautiful
it's
thing.
fantastic.
Yeah, great observation.
Maybe we need to do a planning committee field trip.
I think you
Let's
should.
do it.
That's a great idea,
It'll blow you
Mr.
away.
Chairman.
It is.
I was so impressed.
So,
Yes,
Hi, Danny. Thanks for coming in.
Yes, sir.
I think that the things that you and your team are doing is really awesome for the city of Syracuse, and you're moving in the right direction. A couple of questions though is I seen that on your social media platform slide that there was no mention of TikTok up there, and I know that's a major.
We're in TikTok.
Okay, I didn't see it up
Yeah.
there.
So we started TikTok about 18 months ago. So that has the longest way to go to build the followers. The other ones we've had for some time. So those numbers are a little easier to elevate. But absolutely, we have TikTok. We have, right now, in fact, we have a college intern who's just received her graduate degree from Cortland, and she's going to be the younger generation viewpoint for TikTok for us. But yeah, we're relevant there too. I'm sorry if I didn't put it up there.
Okay.
There's only so much room on a slide. I was
Sure, I
trying to
figured-
save a spot for his head, but it didn't fit.
Yeah, I figured that you probably were, but I just didn't see it.
Yeah,
That's
no,
what-
it's,
it's a huge platform.
It is. It is. Initially, we had to tread lightly, but now we're all in on it.
Okay, and then, is there any partnership currently with the Turning Snow Casino and getting those, because they're a major player, and getting those guests to come to Syracuse? Or?
That's a good question. They are the biggest competitor that we don't know a darn thing about because they don't play by the same rules. And they're gonna fight like heck to make sure that doesn't happen. They wanna keep the spend there. They don't want it here. They wanna keep it all in there. That's why they keep adding convention space. There's talk they're gonna add some outdoor sports fields, which is very concerning to me. So their goal is to keep them there. And they've got endless dollars to do that. So Do we have a partnership with them? We do, but it's really difficult to take from them. What we're getting now is we will get some of the business that they've displaced because their target customer, at least for the convention side, has changed a little bit. So we do see some of that association business starting to come to Syracuse, but they're the most difficult competitor because I just can't get any insight into what goes on there because it's very, very private. But it's definitely a concern. It's not an easy obstacle to overcome.
Understood. And lastly, what about the basketball tournament coming with TBT?
Yeah. So
Any partnership there?
we are the ones that started that,
I know.
and we've handled that for a few years. This year they're we're on record here, so I got to think about how I'm going to phrase this. They're on their own now. There were some things that happened logistically that I took exception to that I felt they could have done a better job. So while we're the originator of that, they're on their own now. But the fact that they're in this county is a good thing, and the fact that Coach Boeheim's involved will help that gate. So we do help them indirectly. They're here now. We've got a lot of clients that we brought here first, and we hand them off, and they just stay loyal. So we don't have a ton to do with it right now, but we will help market it. But as far as the recruitment, we brought them here. They're here. We'll leave it at that.
Understood. Thank you.
I just felt when it was at the War Memorial, when the court went down and it said Albany County on it, I had a real problem with that. So
Understood.
yeah, I'm not, I fight the good fight and the bad fight. So they're up at OCC now, which is great. And as long as the gate is good, it's all about gate to them. That's all they care about. So if the gate isn't great, they probably won't come back. I don't see that as a long-term sustainable event. I think we've had it at its peak. Much like when we brought the bananas here, we got them. They're big now. We'll probably never see them again, just because they're in Major League stadiums selling. They take 100% of the gate. So you think when they're here, they sell 9,000 tickets. They go to Minute Maid Park in Houston, they sell 50,000. Where do you think they're going? So we got them. We got them at the right time.
Right.
So
Okay.
I don't know if I answered your question,
You did.
but
Good enough.
yeah, we'll support them when they need the support. But right now, it seems like they're self-sufficient. So we can take that money and put it to a different group.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, what about, how's the nightlife doing in Syracuse? About attracting people?
Yeah, so I like that question. I think the one thing, our food scene is wonderful, the music scene here. You're gonna see us over the next 12 to 24 months really, I wouldn't say take a shift. I think we're gonna put more resources into music. We've tried to, so we've helped Jazz Fest and the Rhythm and Blues Festival first. We've done a lot of the marketing for them, and we've helped grow those events. So now we're going to branch out more to local music venues. That's an initiative this year. Music's the one thing that I think we all can agree on, right? So I don't want to call us a poor man's Nashville, but I think we're a poor man's Nashville. You can see music in this county every night of the year, and we're going to really push that loud and far. So the nightlife is pretty good. I think it's going to get even better as we make these strategic investments in the music scene, because it's a safe investment, right? Everybody loves music, live music. So I think you're going to see that grow. Great question.
For years pre-COVID, we were on the bus route from New York City to Niagara Falls. This was one of the stops, I think specifically Destiny. Did that come back after COVID?
Yeah,
I know it went away.
Yeah, so we have Mary's on our team. She's part-time, and she is an expert in that industry. And this year, right now, I think we go to two major bus shows. We go to one in Canada, and it's Ontario Motor Coach Association, and then there's another one called IPW. It's massive. And we go to that every year. So long story short, we've seen that business come back, and we actually have 15 new pieces of business that she's booked as a result of these shows. So that business has come back. It was a rough go for a while just because of the whole spacing thing, right? You got a motor coach, it's about 48 seats. We're only gonna put 24 on there for the spacing. I'm not gonna say the C word, but I think we're past that. The growth has really been kind of surprising in a good way.
Good.
And, you know, one thing we'll try to capitalize on, for example, the World Cup is going to be in New York next year. And international travelers, they don't come for a night or two, they come for a week or two. So we want to make sure, we're going to work with some of the ticketing agencies and some of the promotional companies that are part of the World Cup to try to get Syracuse as a destination, because we know they're going to go to Niagara Falls.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
So we're going to try to maximize that for next year while we have that audience.
Okay. Excellent.
Thank you for your
Anything
time.
else?
Thank you for all you do.
Safe travels.
Thank you.
Good
Thank you.
luck,
Hopefully don't see me on the legislature from Newark. Thank you, everyone.
All right, thank you.
And I encourage, if you ever have a question, I'm easy to get a hold of, text me, email me, whatever you need.
We'll make that happen.
Thank you.
That's all right.
Bye, Danny.
Thanks, Ginger.
Oh, sure, sure.
All right, let's go on to number 2 with information technology.
Morning, everyone. I'm here to ask for your authorization for us to enter into additional agreements with the New York State Joint Security Operations Center for additional cybersecurity services, which is great. We already are engaged with the New York State. First of all, let me back up. The Joint Security Operations Center is really a culmination of New York State Information Technology Services in conjunction with the New York State Division of Homeland Security to provide Operations Center to monitor malicious activity, for the various municipalities. They started this with the counties about 3 or 4 years ago with CrowdStrike, which is our endpoint protection solution, which detects and mitigates viruses and malware, potential ransomware, those types of things. And it's been a great service. It has saved us, because we were a CrowdStrike customer before we engaged in these services, and we spent $130,000 a year for this service. Now we get it for free. So what they are providing now for the municipalities is what is known as a SIM, which is Systems Incident and Event Monitoring Service. Basically, it ingests logs from our environments. I don't want to bore you with technology, but draws correlations, and if it identifies potential risk, it alerts us, and we can act on it. And we actually have a SIM now, and it works great for us, but again, we spent $50,000 on that service. Here, potentially, we could save the county $50,000, but what we'd like to do is to utilize their service for the SIM and kind of compare it to ours, which one's better. So that's what we plan to do. And then the other service that they're offering for the municipalities is called Attack Service Management. And what it does is it continuously monitors our external facing environments, on gov.net and any other servers that are accessed remotely by our citizens and such. And in real time, again, it identifies vulnerabilities, malicious attacks, and things of that nature. Now, we again, I know this is probably too technical, but we have firewalls that do this thing, but in real time, we have to run queries and kind of manually manipulate things to get at this information that ASM will now provide us through New York State. So these are great services that New York State is providing for municipalities. They typically start with the counties first, but now they're starting to offer some of these services to towns and villages as well for your own governments for consideration as well. I believe CrowdStrike is available, and I believe the SIM might become available down the road. So these are things that some of the towns and villages may look into because they're free services. Why wouldn't you, So again, I'm asking for your authorization to engage with New York State Joint Security Operations Center to provide the county these services. Any questions?
So no cost,
No cost.
there'll be net savings, actually.
Net
since
savings.
We don't have to pay for the same thing we haven't paid for.
Correct.
I mean, we're under attack every day.
We are.
Do all the counties participate in this? Or or is this new and everybody's just?
This is
getting
new
going?
and people are jumping on board.
Okay.
The CrowdStrike service, most of the counties are a high percentage. And I know some of them really like their own endpoint protection solution, but honestly, we feel that CrowdStrike is the best in the industry. And we have seen it capture things that could have been harmful to us. So, yeah, in fact, I implored many other counties and said, you have to dig into this. This is a great service. It's free. It will cost you tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars for your environments. And I think most of the counties have adopted it. And then the new services that I just spoke to, I think they're eventually going to be available to other counties. I know several counties are already on board with some of these services, and we're just kind of going through the regular process to get there.
Yeah, the state basically bought the subscriptions for all of us.
That's correct.
Nice, excellent, very good. Other questions?
Mr. Chairman, thank you. Well out of my wheelhouse, the whole thing. I don't understand most of it. When I see something pop up on my computer about firewall or something, I X out of it as quickly as I can, because I don't know what it's talking about. I don't understand this type of stuff.
Right.
However, sometimes, is there a reason why another county would opt out of this? Can you give me what could be negative about this? Is there anything?
Honestly, I don't see anything negative. The only thing I could think of is if you feel it has a negative impact on performance in your environments, which we haven't seen, because typically some of these services, they have an agent that runs on your individual computers. And in the old days, you would see this where McAfee or some of these other services, they utilized a lot of your resources on the computer and it would slow it down. But what we're seeing with these new, the state of the art is using more AI kind of machine learning technology, and it's very light footprint and it doesn't take away a lot of your resources. But honestly, I really feel no reason why you shouldn't engage or why you shouldn't adopt these services.
As long as you said, a lot of places have their own internal system, which nowadays I think is probably very short-sighted. With AI coming in and all the other, it just exponentially increases the threat.
Right, and all these services are utilizing AI for really in the detection processing. And again, it's a lot with machine learning and not so much, the old technology would be, oh, we've seen that this is a new threat, now we got to find a fix for it.
Right.
Well, now it says, well, we recognize this pattern, even if it's a new threat. And
This could be coming, yeah. Nice.
So make me understand a little better, like when, on my office computer, when it comes up, McAfee comes up, your subscription is ended, blah, blah, blah. I'm still protected through the Spectrum internet-based. Is that kind of what this is?
Well, it's a little bit more, your internet provider only protects you to a very limited degree. It'll still allow you to get to bad websites for the most part. These types of services, they'll utilize, machine learning and other types of AI technology to say, this is a risk. You really should not go to this website, or you really should not open this document. And if McAfee is your only virus and malware protection, you really should renew it, by the way. But Windows has basic endpoint protection as well. It's whether but they give it kind of a limited type protection where they want you to spend more money on the full-blown protection typically.
It's a lot more advanced than your spam folder.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is more of a cloud-based protection?
Most of them do run in the cloud. That's correct.
Okay.
But again, a lot of them deploy a client, which is software that runs locally in conjunction with, and it communicates with the cloud, which really handles the processing of the detection services.
Okay. Thank you. I'm trying to understand a little more. Thank you.
Ben, did you have a?
I just wanted to point out that this one, so in 2022, we did under the JSOC umbrella, we did the endpoint protection
now have the SEIM and the ASM component that's coming through for an intermunicipal agreement, but this resolution would authorize similar agreements in the future rather than coming back on a piecemeal basis, which each, and they're all at no cost, so they're no-cost services to state. But just so you know, this would authorize future similar JSOC at no-cost agreements for, exactly, just so we know, yep.
Security level as far as ransomware, and then also we have a couple systems, social services that are online. And being the federal government has problems with programs being, money stolen from like Russian activists. This is Russian people who come in, and I think I'm phrasing the question wrong, but you know what I'm trying to say. It's like they attack our systems all the time from Russia and China. Are we having problems like that in the county? But we have, because we issue out money to people who need it, and those are systems can be affected as well. So have we had any problems from the last year, or has it gotten better?
Well, because we have a strong cybersecurity posture, Dave mentioned the bad people are out there trying to attack your network all the time. Because we have tools in place like this, we are able to defend ourselves from these types of attacks. And, we are always getting alerts saying, someone is trying to do something. We get alerts even if someone is legitimately, in some cases, installing new software. We just don't recognize it because it's new. And we investigate all of them, and it turns out that, Sheriff's Department isn't installing something new for their teams over there, and we're on board with it. But it's because we've got multi-layered types of protections that we're able to defend ourselves. Does it mean we're bulletproof? No, I don't think anybody's completely bulletproof. And a big part of it is educating our users to do the right things. We have phishing programs which present these really authentic looking types of, here's your UPS delivery, or here's your invoice for this order, and you owe us this amount of money, and they look legitimate, and they're like, wait a minute. And they click on it, and they get an educational message. So a lot of the risk is on our user, but we have enough protections in place that we're able to typically defend ourselves. And no, we haven't seen anything bad happen to us in the last year or so. We had an incident, several years ago with the libraries got hit with, something, and we learned a lot from that as well. And it gave us the opportunity to purchase more services, and you all supported it. And here's a chance for us to get additional services or to replace services that we're already paying a good amount of money for.
So I don't know if you can answer my next question. So how are they able to, I know we have public assistants, how are they able to still run after cards when I'm not trying to say end user, but the person who actually card it is, this money's wiped clean from that account. That's obviously with a technical issue that's happening, right?
You're
I don't know if you're
asking about a scenario where the cyber attack was
and it's
taking
through,
money from your account?
Yeah, from the actual, that's what I was saying. It's like public assistants will put money on your card, like your Medicaid card or wherever, you use that. And it's not using the person, the user, someone's going in and taking the money out of the account, digitally, of course. So that's one big problem I've heard about in the last year. So
Where
those are the scams, yeah. But it's not people giving their PIN numbers away. It's nothing like that.
I mean, a lot of those types of incidents happen because of social engineering. In this case, the person with the card gets tricked either by a phone call or an email, or saying that you've got a computer problem and it needs to get fixed immediately or something like that. And they will either get on the horn and call somebody to fix whatever this problem allegedly is. And the bad person on the line will say, well, we need to take a look at your computer so we can fix it. They'll install something, and then the software can follow you as you go into these accounts or use the card, and it can pick up on what your password is and things like that. And that's how that's just one means that it might be used to get into your account and take your money.
Or the card scammer things that.
The gas stations and things like that.
So how well are we doing
walk
educating the users of those cards about those type of scenarios that can happen?
Well, in this case, it would be awareness on social engineering and things of that nature. We do have some training on there, And we're actually trying to find the appropriate type of training for our users on that. But social engineering is definitely a big problem. It comes through phone calls, comes through texts, comes through email, where.
And that might be something where we talk with social services about when someone signs up, talking about that.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, it's even, can be a problem for a help desk. Someone calls in and says, can you reset my password? How do we know it's this user, So we have to come up with means to to verify their identity, that they are really the user. We can't see them on the telephone, unfortunately, so.
Excellent. Any other questions?
I do, but I don't think I could express them in the right way he would understand. I'll leave it be until I can.
All right. Well, we all know how to get hold of him, so he's very responsive, believe me. I've used to talk to him many, many times. Last question, different subject. How you doing team-wise? Are you able to recruit people and fill
We've been
slots?
doing okay. We'd like to have, we talked about AI a number of times. It'd be nice to have dedicated resources to help some of our departments implement AI services, so we're starting to look into that. And there might be a time that either through budget or other means, we ask for some support on getting staff in to assist us. But other than that, we've had pretty good luck, replacing people who retire.
Sure.
We don't have a lot of turnover, fortunately, on our team. I know other departments kind of suffer from that a little bit.
Yeah.
But we've got a great team with a lot of knowledge, and they collaborate very well. So for the most part, we're doing all well. But, there'll probably be a time when I come and ask for some additional support.
Nope. Excellent. Thank you. Anything else? Is there a motion?
Make the motion.
Kevin? Second. All in favor? Aye. Nays, abstentions, motion's carried. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, moving on to number 3. Planning Department.
Morning.
Morning. So we got 2 items. Want to start out with ag districts?
The first is to officially move this 28 acres into the ag districts. We opened it up on January 1st for the 30 days. We had 2 applicants, both good applicants, one in Manlius, one in Lafayette, ag districts 3 and 4, both prime or very good soil land, both being farmed, both well endowed to go into the ag districts program.
We all know the Lafayette soils are some of the best in the world.
The best in the world.
I'm familiar with both of these farms, and they're both good folks, good operators, and also these 2 properties have been vetted through our Farmland Protection Board, which does a wonderful job of going through all this, aided ably by our staff here at the legislature, which puts in many, many, many hours, doing mailing and everything to the current property owners to see if they want to stay in, take out, add, etc. Every year. So this is a great program, and these are 2 good applicants. Any questions on 3A? If not, is there a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Motion.
Second.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Nays, abstentions, motion's carried. All right, so now we'll move on to B, which is a update on our new comprehensive plan, Plan On.
And thank you very much. I'll try to keep this brief. I know I'm at the end, but some of this will be a slight regurgitation of history. Some of it will be kind of what we're doing for all of this. But I think you have to delve back into the history a little bit to understand kind of where we're going. Keeping in mind, the implementation of Plan On is a marathon. It's not really a sprint with all the different parts involved. But you may recall when when the legislature approved the comprehensive plan, there were 5 thematic areas, 5 areas that we felt strongly should be included for planning purposes and decision-making purposes as we work as a department. Housing and neighborhoods, strong centers, agriculture, greenways and blueways, and community mobility. And all those are really what you need to keep a strong county and a strong community. It's kind of like peanut butter and jelly. You need them both to have a good sandwich. And the first part of that, and I lump them together for a lot of reasons, but it's the strong centers and it's the housing and neighborhoods. Strong centers are amenity rich, they're walkable, there's a lot to do. You think of any village downtown, you think of downtown Syracuse, you can leave your home, you can walk to a restaurant, walk to get coffee, walk your dog, and in the midst of all that, you're not in a silo, you're actually seeing people. It's a true sense of the community in every sense of the word. And more and more of the suburban developments that are happening, you're seeing, people, a demand for building those structures into that to some extent. So it's not just a housing development on 5 acres and, Lafayette, you're actually building more of the amenities into it, more of the walkability, more of the coffee shops. We're seeing it a lot with the multi-use and multi-tenant housing. And you add to that to the housing and neighborhoods, and that's the next part. Because when you're talking housing and neighborhoods, you want all of those now. That's where the market is headed in terms of planning for those and really getting to that point. And it's also, I think when you're looking at housing neighborhoods, we are seeing in central New York, Onondaga County specifically, the dynamics of the housing market change in probably a way they haven't changed in decades. Just in terms of the housing that's going to be needed from Micron and the supply chain companies, the rest of it. But it means new housing, it means a different kind of housing, and just as importantly, it means finding a way to rehab the housing stock we have here, because we have a great housing stock. Some of it a little more dilapidated, but it needs to be brought back. So when we look at all of that, it's how do you bring all of that back, the new housing, the new types of housing, and then restoring old housing. And we did this about a year ago with Housing Onondaga Phase 1 was released. These were the main findings and needs. A lot of it is common sense, a lot of it we know by now. About 24,000 new households by 2040. What I think is one of the most interesting statistics is countywide net new households will be fewer than 2 people on average, which is an amazing statistic when you think about, it's not that long ago there was families of 4, 5, 6, and now the new households will actually have fewer than 2 people on average. We're not really sure at this point how many of the households will be owners and renters, but we are forecasting that the number of senior renters will go up for a variety of reasons as they move out of their houses, but want to stay local, want to stay near families. So addressing that in the future. The inventory right now is tight. That's likely temporary as we'll see more and more housing come on the market in the years to come. New construction is getting more expensive. Regulations, on a local level can be an issue for timeliness and cost escalation, and affordability continues to be a challenge. Going back to number 6, which is new construction is getting a little more expensive. So, we finished that. Now we've moved on to kind of housing phase 2. And we were working with CZB, who was a consultant who did phase 1. And what we're looking at, and then the phase 2 of this is getting a little more into the granular detail. First part is refreshing the market math. Where's the market today versus a year ago? Where are the costs today versus a year ago? And then identifying the financial gaps based on that market math and trying to estimate per unit what those gaps are, what the financing gaps are, what the affordability gaps are. And then we can assess the current programs we have, whether it's OCHIP or any of the programs we have, and kind of see, are they sufficient? Are they designed to achieve the outcome we're going for? And ultimately, do they need some tweaks and some changes? Do we need to recommend some new programs and interventions that can cover the financing gap with the developers? And just as importantly, the affordability gap in all of this, because housing prices probably aren't coming down anytime soon in terms of construction. So how do we make sure that the affordability is there for folks moving into the market, for folks just changing the housing they're living in? And developing a typology of housing opportunities based on the market and development conditions, et cetera. And then really taking all that information that we've gathered and going to the municipalities and working with them on the housing needs, the typologies, the emerging programs, what type of incentives are out there and what type of incentives we can work with them on. And then what kind of policy planning and code adjustments can they put in to their local? Let's say, the county has no control over zoning a home rule state. So it's really working with them to get to the point. And also part of that is also just identifying the land that is developable. I mean, at the end of the day, you want land that has the utilities, they're in the sewer district, that have access to public water. And you don't want to be continuing to build housing in the middle of nowhere. It's really about tying it back to community, tying it back to housing neighborhoods and strong centers. Yeah, how are we doing right now? Now, these are numbers which are in some state of concept or review since Micron was announced in 2022. So it's 150 projects, over 15,000 multifamily units, 1,700 single-family units, 3,000 special units, which are senior housing, that sort of thing. 40% of those units are in the city of Syracuse, and there's about 2.9 million square feet of commercial space that's part of mixed-use projects. So, it's moving along. You'll see some of these come out of concept, go into official, local review and everything soon. You also see this number increase as you get closer to and shovels actually go into the ground from Micron. I don't think there's a hesitancy, but I think there is a willingness to wait a little longer to really come up and figure out, what is the final plan. And if you're a developer, that's what you want to know, because at the end of this, you want to make a profit off what you're doing. Community mobility. We don't talk as much about community mobility, but it's certainly an extremely important aspect of the plan. It's preparing for the transportation of the future. It's preparing for, electric vehicles, eventually autonomous vehicles, on demand, all of that. And it's also talking about micro mobility. How do you get people around the community, not just in cars, but walking, on bicycles, on the scooters, and the rest of it, and then investing in those transit corridors that will move people around. And then, the other part of this is moving them around safely. So we have a $450,000 grant from the federal government to do a Safe Streets for All proposed study to really get us closer to a Vision Zero community, kind of look at the high accident rate intersections and roadways and figure out what we need to do to eliminate whatever dangers that are there. And that's, we're getting ready to go out with that hopefully in the next few weeks and find a consultant to undertake it. And then, a lot of this is also, we talk a lot about greenways and blueways, and we'll be talking about it in a minute, but it is the greenways, the trails that can get people around and really connect communities. When you look at the Loop the Lake Trail or the Empire State Trail, that isn't just for recreation. There are people coming from Liverpool and riding to the city of Syracuse on their bike to go to work. That's an exciting aspect of it. And this is just a quick little thing on some of the investments. The Safe Streets for All, the regional trail system. Centro is doing bus rapid transit. They're looking at implementing 2 routes on bus rapid transit. And then you have the whole Interstate 81 realignment, which is going to drive a lot of this in terms of community mobility and moving people around in a different fashion, but certainly a safer fashion, linking all of it together, all the different aspects. And greenways and blueways. I think we can all agree. We live here not always because of the weather, but because of the nature, because of what we have out there in terms of ecological wonder and ability to get around and hiking and everything. And this is really looking to build on that. And, in addition to just having the beauty of it, it's also an economic driver. When you look at tourism, certainly one of the things that drives is are people coming and hiking and moving around, and building out the greenways and blueways is part of that. And what we're embarking on right now is we've just chosen a consultant. Colliers will actually be doing a countywide greenways and blueways master plan that will hopefully drive where the investment will go in the future. So we're just not throwing darts at a wall to figure out where to invest in greenways and blueways, but this will bring all of the information together, both on a county basis, on a very local basis, to really look at greenways, look at gaps in those greenways, look at how do we get people from the Charlie Major Trail to the Empire State Trail eventually, so you can really move the community around. And then as part of this, kind of before the plan being done, we put out a grant program for towns and villages for greenway and blueway development. It's about a $1.1 million grant program. We have some applications coming in right now from municipalities. Let's face it, we put this out before the plan is done because there are a lot of good ideas out there right now for blueways and greenways, and this will at least put some money into the market and start the development. And then afterwards, we're envisioning, another chunk of money coming out to help implement the master plan. And when we talk about our development plan, this is really what we're looking for. Defining greenways and blueways, doing the inventory, GIS-based inventory of existing and planned corridors that will help us determine the gaps, kind of the vision and strategy of what we want to invest in going into the future, developing the priority projects, and then creating a municipal toolkit, which is an important part of this. So municipalities will have something that they can then implement on their own. And then identifying the variety of funding sources, both on a state, federal, and private foundation level. And this is just kind of all the investments being made across the Greenway and Blueway with the Loop the Lake Trail. There's some open space development, the planning program. There's a tree canopy study. There's a source water protection of that Tisco Lake, and Skinny Atlas Lake. And all of that is important to both protecting the ecological assets as well as just developing out the greenways and blueways. And agriculture. Which is save the best for last, because agriculture is such an important part of Onondaga County. We do have some of the best soils in upstate New York in terms of farming, and it's something we really have to hang on to, and we have to expand out. Some of the things we do, certainly working with the agricultural coalition is promoting buy local, kind of that locally grown, locally known aspect. In terms of where does your food come from, with 1 to 2% of the population in this country actually growing the food, the other 98, 99 doesn't always understand where it comes from, and they walk into Wegmans and think all of that lettuce sitting there in the middle of the summer is local. No, they're buying on a worldwide basis most of the time. So it's really getting people to the point where they understand, ask for Onondaga grown, ask for local, because that helps helps on many different levels, but it certainly supports the economy, and then you know where your food is coming from. Along those same lines, we do the On Farm Fest every year, third Saturday in September, about a month before the Apple Festival. Apple Festival.
Good warm-up.
But it really does the same thing. It draws out several thousand people, mainly families, to kind of visit farms, and all sorts of farms, from agritourism operations doing pumpkin sales and maple syrup to dairy farms, so you can really get a feel for what goes into producing the food we have and what it takes. We've probably beaten the agritourism grant program to death, but there are the basic numbers. I really just did this as a cheap and easy way to put the Lafayette Apple Festival up in the top left-hand corner.
Perfect. Yes, nice.
It's about 143 days away. It's October 10th and 11th this year. It's a great time.
Your budget may grow this year.
I've never verified this, but I've been told that it's the largest event, our largest agricultural event in upstate New York, although I've never verified the numbers.
We'll just go with it.
But really, the ag tourism program did do a lot of good. There was 53 awards in Onondaga County, $790,000 in grant, $790,000 in grant programs. That led to $2.7 million almost in matching grants. So there was over a $3 million investment on all sides when you look at that program. And it will. And there was a great diversity of operations, from small operations to bigger operations, well-known operations to operations just starting out. So it put some great money into the market and really helped a lot of folks get started and grow. They talked about the Agriculture and Farmland Protection Board. One of the other functions they do in addition to agricultural districts is really work on the purchase of development rights. This year we had 4 applications put forth, all of them approved after a great deal of conversation, research done by the Farmland and Protection Board, put forth as eligible. But since 1998, there's been 28 purchases of development rights. There's been 3 donations. It's preserved 12,000 acres in this county of prime farmland to the tune of about $29 million in funding from ag and markets. And we work with, in addition to working with the farmers, we work with the land trusts, who actually will go in and they prepare all the applications. They ultimately hold the easements and enforce the easements on all of this. So it's a good partnership across the county, and really with the local non-for-profit land trusts. And it's a huge, huge program in terms of saving so much prime farmland across upstate New York. The regional market, I just thought I'd give you a quick update on the regional market. You know, we certainly worked on the study. You know, the county executive put forth some money, Empire State Development put forth some money to undertake kind of the study of the revitalization of the regional market, and looked at everything from operations to build out of the market, to usefulness of all the buildings and structures on the market. You know, it's a 50-acre campus, largely with large pockets of it undeveloped right now. And certainly parts of that could be redeveloped. So really the question becomes, just in terms of build out, you know, what does it need? And this kind of gives you a map of everything it needs. But when you look at kind of the phase one part of this, the commission houses have been there since 1938, and they house the food wholesalers. They're about 40,000 square foot total. And they have been bastardized over the years, just out of necessity, to put cooling units in and try to keep them up to date. They're not totally cold chain compliant. There are some issues in them. So the first part of that would be building a new food distribution warehouse. And then adding on to that, a food production warehouse. That way we could move the folks into for wholesalers into more efficient warehousing, where you can actually stack pallets up 15 feet high if you want to. And that'd be 100% cold chain compliant. And then the food production warehouse would allow, as New York State keeps implementing the farm to school program, and they're looking at Executive Order 32, which actually demands state agencies buy 30% of their food from New York. It allows an aggregation point for food in Onondaga County and across upstate New York, but more than that, allows for that food to be at least minimally processed. I mean, if you're a SUNY campus, you don't want to get 1,000 pounds of just carrots. You want 1,000 pounds of bagged carrots, cut carrots, shaved carrots, so you can actually put them out in proper serving sizes and everything. And that's what this food production warehouse will do. And that's true of schools too. You know, you don't want, you want it processed by the time it reaches its end point. That's what they're paying for now.
Flash freezing.
Yeah, oh yeah, flash freezing, all of that, IQF, all of it. So there's a huge need for that in this. And then it would allow for the reuse of the commission houses, because as much as I said they were bastardized, they're also absolutely beautiful. When you look at the unique structure of the steel in them, the wood in them, I mean, they are absolutely glorious. And they could be repurposed for restaurants, for brew pubs, for event space, for everything along those. And then you're starting to create that whole feel of, you're not just running in and running out to get your fresh vegetables. You're running in, you can have lunch, you can have a drink, you can stay long enough to go to the ballpark. With the interconnectivity of it, you can walk over, probably not my best example, you can walk over to the aquarium, enjoy that, walk around the inner harbor, all of that, and really have a great time with just one parking and a lot of walking and kind of connection points along the way. And then if you've been to the market, all of the market sheds, which are 1938 built, they all need improvement. It calls for improving all of those. It calls for eventually putting in a ghost kitchen into the Market Street Commons, redoing kind of the gateway. Right now, if you don't go to the market every week, it can be a very confusing time figuring out how to get into the market when you get off 81. Because you're not sure, do I go straight? Do I make a left-hand turn? How do you get there? So this will create a whole gateway entrance. And one of the most important things it'll do is also improve the entrances for the folks who live on the north side, who use that market, who need that market for the fresh food, who come over there, and it'll, along with the city of Syracuse, who's doing a TIP project around the market to improve the crosswalks and some of the intersections. This will also improve the entrances for those folks coming in from the north side. And the county legislature approved, and $4 million will be invested, and with most of that money going to the entranceways, the ghost kitchen, some of the shed improvements along those lines to really kind of kickstart it. The regional market tried for funding on the state level. They're going to try again to get that money. If I had to guess, the biggest issue with them getting the money was there's just a lot of money soaked up by upstate, which needs $450 million for their emergency room, among other things. So I think hopefully next year there'll be more money available to really assist them and get this going. But there's a lot of planning that can be done before this gets done. A lot of the design work on the food distribution warehouses and everything. Then follow us at Onondaga County Legislature. And don't forget, the Apple Festival is 130 days away.
Don't forget that, coming up before you know it. will warm up a little bit by then.
I'm not sure, but.
Questions?
Sorry, that was kind
Yes.
of quick.
Me.
Oh, that's.
Yeah.
So when you talk about the connectability of the neighborhoods, it's a big deal for me, okay? This is something that's been near and dear to my heart for a long, long time. And from the city of Syracuse, our city, to all the connecting neighborhoods that are right next to it, there's like moments of ugly that you're just gonna stop and go, oh, okay, I'm not gonna go anywhere anymore, I'm gonna get in my car and then drive somewhere else. So I hope that is in a plan, and a serious plan, instead of just talking about it or, you know, because it's nothing, it won't work. I mean, my whole life, I grew up on the north side, and my whole life, we went to the farmer's market. And then when I got married with my children, we went to every single apple festival.
Nice.
You know, and every pumpkin farm, and I still do it. And I love all of that, and I think that is like one of our greatest gifts in our county. But I really do hope, and I would like to talk to some of the investors, the developers, about their ideas of how they want to do that, because I really would like to see that solidified in a plan, personally.
Yeah.
And I think for everyone else in this community, especially with 81 going on, and Franklin Square, Park Avenue neighborhood, my neighborhood, not only just Tip Hill, you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So that's very important to me.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. Connectivity is more than building trails and sidewalks to get you
Correct.
somewhere. It is. It's creating that sense of place,
Yes.
and place making, so you don't get to a spot that looks like Rothschild, for instance. And you go, this is as far as I'm going now.
Right.
Turn around and go back and drive to the next point. Right, all that has to be embodied in turn when you start looking at the design work and the planning work to make sure you have the trails, but also that
You can't leave a little.
Right,
like
right.
normally.
Yes, yes. I would
That's been
absolutely.
happening for too many years.
I would have. And there are some municipalities, when it comes to what they're doing on a local level in terms of trails, probably more active than others. You know, the Village of Skinny Alice is, as they look at plans and everything, they're actually taking easements from some developers where they actually want trails and they know where they want their trails to go. So they're getting the easements up front, so they don't have to fight with them afterwards. It's a great plan. It would be great to work with municipalities to do more of that. Because it is a legitimate way. I mean, Baldwinsville has talked about doing that as they start looking at more development out there. It's a legitimate way to make sure the developer has skin in the game in terms of building out those trails.
I just think that'll just bring people to, you know, I mean, I've done walking trails in Vermont, you know, end to end for miles, 14 miles apiece. I could see something like that in Syracuse, in Onondaga County. We have so many beautiful places. I mean, just to open up the door to think out of the box and do more things and bring in revenue as well.
Yeah, well, I don't know if I'll ever do it. There are a large number of people every year who do the Buffalo to Albany to New York City Trail, the full length of it, and they
Yes.
pass through a huge stretch of Onondaga County on their
Right.
on the way.
That's right.
And, you know, if you look at Simmons Store, where they've actually done some counts out at Camillus, I think they estimate there's 200,000 people who go by there every year on the trail, which is
And
an
we have some
amazing
beautiful
number.
areas, and I think that people knew what to do
Absolutely.
and make it
Well,
happen.
we talked to Visit Syracuse about that.
Right.
Yeah.
I will, that's a good idea.
Ben, did you ever?
Yeah, it just, I'm sorry, it's more selfish.
Well, just pure curiosity, and you might not know, but I was driving, we went to the Onondaga Lake Parkway, and then, of course, went to Hyde.
And then I was driving by and I saw that along Route 57, I think they did a sidewalk project, right, Route 57, all the way to the new apartments that are coming along at the old candle factory. Do you know if are they planning to connect the sidewalks?
Yes, that's,
Okay.
that's one of,
Kind of jumps off the connectivity, but there's a
Yes.
gap right there along that has always been kind of a hindrance to
Yeah.
walking.
I believe Marty the county DOT is talking to the town about making sure there is a connection there.
Awesome, thank you, that was it, thanks.
And I hope there's attractive designs for some of the bridges too.
For some of the bridges,
Mhm.
and in the 81, I hope there's,
You know.
for the amount of money they're spending, I hope that it
Mhm.
will be attractive.
I did notice that they did the imprints on some of the,
They did.
which I go to California quite often, and they had just done that. So all of the towns and the little villages and, you know, like Orange County, they have oranges, you know. I think that,
Sound barrier thing.
right, you know, it's much more attractive than just looking at a big ugly wall,
Oh, I agree. I
you
agree.
know.
I agree with you.
Just brings us up a little bit.
Absolutely.
Chairman, thank you. How long before you think we start seeing action at the department? Like,
I think
seeing things get done? 'Cause now we're not seeing anything.
True enough. Short term, we have to do some design work on all of it, right? We can't just throw in a ghost kitchen, we can't just put up a beautiful new sign and waysign. Again, there's engineering that has to go into all of this, so that's the first part that we're gonna start working on, or the regional market's gonna start working on. As well as, the engineering and design on the food distribution warehouse and food processing center. So how long till you see, shovels in the ground? I mean, design can take 6 months, 8 months, a year sometimes, depending on what you're looking at. Hopefully we see some action before that, and I think we will, but I don't have a firm
So
timeline.
do you anticipate that the redistribution center will be complete within 2 years?
Depends when we get funding for it. That's a 20-some million.
Yeah, that's the
not
big,
involved in the funding and.
no, that's not our 4 million.
Yeah, that's not our fault.
So I'm on the board of the regional market. I just joined a few months ago. So basically our 4 million is gonna go to, the ghost kitchens, which is a really interesting concept, which I had really, although I love food, I don't know why I wouldn't know about a ghost kitchen, but a lot of these, a lot of restaurants and, have a thriving takeout business, but it really kind of hinders their eat-in business, and so they use these ghost kitchens. So with DoorDash or those, they go there and pick it up and take it to whatever, as opposed to going to the actual restaurant. That's one use of them. And then, of course, the other, which makes sense, is I want to try some different things for a potential new food product. Different way of cooking something or preparing something, whatever. And so this will give somebody a commercial kitchen that they can rent. Try this concept, and if it works, then they move up to building their own and manufacturing and all that kind of stuff. But in other cities, these have been very, very successful. So they're looking at 2 kitchens on site, and then there's actually one off site that they're talking about that I won't go into. But then, so that's part of the 4 million. The entranceway that was on the slide. And then I think the C shed is the first one that they're going to really upgrade to bring it into the 21st century. And that, then depending on what's left, money-wise, then, they move on. I think A would be next, but.
I will say along those lines, I believe someone in Magnorelli got $2 million for the market a couple of years ago. I think some of that $2 million is going to be put into the A shed, which is why we went to the C shed.
Yeah, I did see some improvements in the A shed structurally.
Yep.
I see that there's some of that funding has been spent there already, but it's subtle.
Yes.
Like the average market, I think every week I'm on average, but people aren't seeing anything yet. And I'm getting questions from people. When are we going to start seeing something? So to your note, I was under the impression that the ghost kitchens were going to go into the building where they currently have the vendors. So that's changed then.
No, I think the ghost kitchens are going to be in the Park Street Plaza there building.
Where
we had the meeting.
Right.
Mediterranean places.
Okay, right.
Yeah, where we had the meeting that time, a couple of months ago, when the planning committee met out there, and they gave us an update on the study that they did. That building that space will be the ghost kitchens.
That's all great news. I mean, with the governor not taking the funding out, at least the people will still see some sort of progress.
Oh, absolutely.
That's what.
Yep.
That'll make people a lot happier, including the vendors down there.
Yeah, and the new leadership out there, led by Bill Fisher, who's doing a great job. And they're reimagining the business model to make it. The old business model was there for 100 years, and unfortunately, times change, and so you got to adjust with the times. And so, so they're looking at other ways of generating revenue. So I think we're going to see a lot of good things come around the market here pretty soon.
I think that there's some things that they could do right away. This
Yep.
may be for a side conversation, but just say
Sure.
quickly. But there is ample parking, not right there, that we could,
Oh, absolutely.
bring people using the trailer in to park, and then take some of those areas and set up some food trucks there, have a live band on Saturday or Sunday. Those
Yeah.
little things can happen right away.
Yeah,
They
and they're
can
already,
impact.
they're talking with the Syracuse Mets about maybe opening up before games and having, rent space for food trucks or some other type of, have a little concert before or after the game, things like that.
Okay.
Other questions for Troy? So far, so good?
So far, so good. Thank you.
Absolutely. All righty, that concludes our agenda. We're adjourned.